I remember there was just feelings of almost terror where everything was so overwhelming. I had thoughts like really literally like, am I dying? And there's fear to go outside. There was about 2 weeks where I feel like I couldn't even go outside. I couldn't get out of bed because I felt like the anxiety and the panic would rise up so much. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And it was terrifying. So I took my daughters to Uganda for a missions trip. I remember as I got there was this kind of feeling of protection. I'm going to protect my daughters, just me and my daughters. My wife wasn't there. My son wasn't there. So I'm feeling this, everyone's talking about malaria and yellow fever. We had to get a yellow fever vaccine and take malaria pills and all this. And so as a father, I was already, I think, worked up over that. And I remember I started feeling very shaky. Like I would try to pick up something and my hand would be shaking. And I was like, okay. So I remember getting ready to do this outreach we were doing. There was like 30,000 people and I was getting ready to, share the gospel, play a concert and share the gospel. And I felt so shaky. And I'm like, what is happening? I've never experienced that. I wasn't nervous because it wasn't nerves. It was something different. And so played the show, like 1,000 people responded to the gospel. So of course I'm rejoicing, but also like what's happening. So we get home after the trip and, of course the whole time I'm just kind of curious, like, what if they got malaria? Seriously, it was just erratic, irrational thoughts that I was having that I'd not really experienced quite like that before. So I got home, but once again, was feeling this something, it was overwhelming inside where I just felt shaky and unnerved. I was a little lightheaded and I was talking to my wife and all of a sudden, like, I just had a panic attack. Like I couldn't breathe. I was shaking. I couldn't breathe. And I finally, calmed down and she prayed for me. And I was like, what was that all about? And so, I went home. Finally, we were flying home. And she had left to go to the store, take my kids to the store. And I'm at home. I'm working out, exercising. And literally, I was working out. And I stood up. And all of a sudden, my body just, like, I had a crazy panic attack. Everything around me was terrifying. I couldn't breathe. And I was on the ground weeping. So finally, after not being able to even go outside, feeling this immense amount of terror, even having like thoughts like this where like, God, are you real? I've never even when I went through the loss of my wife, I never really had that thought. I had thoughts of being upset or why, questions why, but not like, is there really a God? It was all these, to be honest, it was a very dark, dark thing. And I knew it was the enemy just chiseling away. And this is what happened. So finally, I was just praying and I just said, God, what is it? What is it? Like, why am I experiencing this? And he said, you're trying to control everything, your family. Not like I was trying to control them in a weird way, but to protect them and make sure they're okay. And I was the one that was trying to keep everything under control. So my family, my finances, and my future. The three, it was as clear as day that I was not trusting God with any of those things. I was trying to control them. And that control was so overwhelming that it sent me in a place of just feeling out of control. And that was the whole panic and terror and just I felt out of control. And finally I repented and I said, God, forgive me for not trusting you. I think that sometimes he allows those thorns in our life, like Paul, to make us rely on him. Jesus said it in John 16:33. He said, I say these things to you that you will have peace. In this world, you will face trials of many kinds. You're going to face trials. Like, we live in a fallen world. Like, that's just a part of what's going to happen. But then he said, but take heart, I've overcome the world. Now that was like, I felt like that was, thank you. Like, that felt good for me to even like share that. Even though like I've shared some bit, but I think the fullness of it like that is just good. You know what I mean? So.